this is part 2 of the Unit 9 lectures on overview of body systems. There we go. All right. Okay, so this is an example of what I meant. You see a lot of names of different nerves, and that would be something that you would concentrate on more in anatomy and physiology class. For this class, you just really need to understand what the nervous system does, the basics of the nervous system functions, and also some of the main structures. The nervous system is divided into the CNS, or central nervous system, and that includes the brain and the spinal cord. The brain and the spinal cord. The cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem are all components of the brain. Okay, so the brain and the spinal cord make up the central nervous system. Sensory information, like for example, if your skin touches something and it's too hot, that information is going to be sent to the central nervous system, and then a signal will be sent to your muscular system to tell you to like move your hand away if it was your hand that touched it, or if your foot stepped on something sharp, it will give the signal for the muscles in your legs to move your foot away. Whatever the sensory information is, the central nervous system will integrate that information and figure out what to do about it. So the central nervous system really controls everything, and controls the other body systems. But then you also have the peripheral nervous system, and that will include all the nerves that are attached to the brain and the spinal cord. So all these nerves that are named here, the vagus nerve, for example, the median nerve, all these different nerves, the sciatic nerve you may have heard of before. So these are nerves of the peripheral nervous system. One more thing about the nervous system. Okay, it's a control system, but the way that it sends signals is through electrical impulses. So it uses chemicals called neurotransmitters to trigger electrical impulses that travel very quickly through your nerve fibers throughout the rest of your body. So electrical impulses are very fast, but they don't last as long. Their effects don't last as long. So they're very fast, but they are short acting. Their effects do not last as long as, for example, hormones. The endocrine system produces chemicals called hormones, and the endocrine system contains a lot of glands and organs scattered throughout your body that release different hormones and play a role in different bodily functions. This figure on the right is labeled. Number 1 is the pineal gland, which is located in your brain, and it produces a hormone called melatonin, which helps you to sleep. You may have taken synthetic melatonin over the counter. You can take it in a pill form, and sometimes that will help you sleep, so that you don't have to take prescription sleep medication. Number 2 is the pituitary gland, which produces hormones that regulate the hormones of the other glands. So the pituitary gland is more of a regulatory gland. The thyroid gland is number 3. I told you it was in your neck or your throat. And we know one thing it does is it helps regulate calcium levels in your blood, but it is probably most well known for regulating your metabolism. And there are lots of glands. The pancreas we talked about produces insulin. The adrenal glands produce stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which is the common name, but the medical term for adrenaline is epinephrine, which can actually act as a hormone or a neurotransmitter. That's one that can be used as either or. And then your reproductive organs like ovaries and testes can be part of or they are part of the endocrine system as well. The ovaries produce female hormones, the testes produce male hormones. The endocrine system responses are slower, but they last longer than the nervous system. Okay. Some examples of hormones. There are hormones listed here. The name of the hormone is listed in this column, and then the gland that it came from is on the left. So we'll just pick out a couple. We have already learned about calcitonin and parathyroid hormone. PTH is parathyroid hormone. And we know that calcitonin is released by the thyroid, and its response is that it lowers blood calcium. And then parathyroid hormone is released by the parathyroid, and it raises blood calcium. Another one is antidiuretic hormone, which is released by the hypothalamus. Antidiuretic hormone acts on your kidneys, and it causes you to reabsorb water back into your blood. So in other words, when you urinate, you'll have you'll have a smaller volume or a lower volume of urine. You'll retain more water than you get rid of. So ADH, antidiuretic hormone, stimulates you to retain water. And another name for that ADH is vasopressin. And that is released by the hypothalamus, which is located in your brain. I just said that wrong. I was looking at the hypothalamus above. The hypothalamus does stimulate the release of ADH, and it actually, I'm pretty sure, produces ADH, but it's the posterior pituitary gland. There's two parts of the pituitary, the posterior and the anterior. The posterior pituitary actually releases the ADH. So it may be produced in the hypothalamus, but it is released by the posterior pituitary gland. So there are many other examples. You don't have to know specific, a lot of specific examples. Now, when we look at the reproductive system, there are some specific questions about the reproductive system. So I'm going to go over the male and the female reproductive system in general. Okay, so let's first talk about one of the main functions of the male reproductive system is to produce sperm, and then to get that sperm, to transport that sperm to the egg in order to procreate, in order to create a baby, so that our species can go on and on and on. So so the sperm is produced in the seminiferous tubules, which are located in the testes. So this is a testis. You can see that it is located inside of a sac called the scrotum. And then there is a structure that's attached to the back of the testis, the back side or the dorsal side of the testis, called the epididymis. The sperm will travel to the epididymis next. It will travel from the seminiferous tubules to the epididymis, and then through the vas deferens all the way to this little structure called the seminal vesicle. Now the seminal vesicle, I'm sorry, it's beside the seminal vesicle, but all the way to until it reaches the urethra. So it's going to travel through the vas deferens, through this little tube that goes past the seminal vesicle, past the prostate gland, and then it will reach the urethra. And the urethra travels, of course, all the way out of the penis. So the glands that produce the rest of the semen, besides the sperm, we talked about how the sperm are produced. The seminal vesicle produces secretions that are part of the semen. The prostate gland produces secretions that are part of the semen. And the bulbourethral gland also produces secretions that are part of the semen. So those three glands produce secretions, combine here and here with the sperm, and then when the man ejaculates, everything is ejaculated together, the sperm and the secretions. One question that I saw is, we know that the testes of the male are analogous to the ovary of the female. So what I'm going to do is go like this. We know that. We know the testis is analogous to the ovary. It doesn't perform the same function, but it performs a similar function. The ovary produces the eggs. The testes produce the sperm. The testes produce male hormones. The ovaries produce female hormones. The prostate gland has a structure in the female reproductive system that's analogous to it, called the Skene's gland. And the prostate gland's function is just to produce like a basic solution to lower the concentration of acid, because acid will kill the sperm. So the prostate gland secretes a basic solution along with the sperm to kind of protect it from the acidic conditions in the female reproductive tract. So we have the list of all the structures in the male reproductive system and what they do. The glands, the bulbourethral glands, you can see here, secrete pre-ejaculate fluid, which helps in lubrication and cleaning the urethra. The prostate gland secretes an alkaline fluid or basic fluid, which raises the pH of the vagina, which neutralizes the acidic conditions of the vagina. The seminal vesicles secrete most of the semen, and the seminal vesicles contain chemicals like proteins, enzymes, fructose, which is a sugar, mucus, vitamin C, flavins, phosphorylcholine, and prostaglandins. So the fructose provides energy to the sperm so that it can swim through the reproductive system. And then the female reproductive system, basically what happens is this: you have eggs produced in the ovaries. The egg travels through the fallopian tubes, and if a sperm is released into the female reproductive tract, the egg is fertilized in the fallopian tubes. So the egg is fertilized somewhere in here. It is eventually released into the uterus, and it implants in the uterus if it's fertilized by a sperm, grows into an embryo, and then a fetus, and then a baby, an infant, which is delivered through labor, the contractions of labor, and delivered through the vagina out of the female's body. So that's basically what happens with the female reproductive system. And here are some of the structures in the female reproductive system. You can read about their various functions. We don't have to get too real specific. I did want to look at this chart and see, yeah, in the male, the prostate and the Skene's glands are analogous to each other. And you may just want to look that up just to know what a Skene's gland is.